Try and keep the clavicle still if possible so the shoulders aren't raising up and down with the breath. So we'll calm your nervous system. So you can sit up here if you want to. You can see you. Okay. All right. I was doing a little research on corona today, and corona actually means crown, if you didn't know that, and because the virus itself resembles the shape of a crown. But to me, that also resembles the crown chakra, our connection to the universe. So the best thing we can do in this moment is open up that crown chakra. And to do that, we have to open all the other channels in our body. So it's very important we have nice straight posture and clean lungs. This is a respiratory illness, so it's very important that we all are kind of staying up on our respiratory health. So this first breathing exercise we're going to do today is called Kapalbhati, and that means shining skull. So it's a lung cleaning exercise, very similar to what we were just doing, just a little bit more of a forceful exhale. So you'll take a nice passive inhale, expand the belly and the diaphragm. Now on the exhale, we're going to do one big forceful exhale, push all the air out at once. Inhale passively, and active exhale, push all the air out. And you can do this at your own pace if you want to keep going slow or you want to speed it up. I do it a little faster now, so it sounds kind of like this, like a pumping.
Sí.
Just read your own body. What's that? And so just read your own body here. If you're feeling any sharp pain or anything like that in the rib cage, I want you to just slow this breath down, come back to a regular breath. You don't want to do this if you have a really full stomach, you just ate a big meal or anything like that. So just kind of go at your own pace at first, feel it out, and try and grow that rate up as you go. So if you start with 5 breaths, maybe do 10 breaths the next round, and kind of just slowly keep working up until you get more comfortable with it. This is something that you can incorporate in your life anytime to help just kind of clean out the lungs. It oxygenates the body, so it'll put your body in a more alkaline state. Really good for fighting off illnesses, especially cancer and stuff like that. So just good things to bring into your life in general. So if you're ready, if it's comfortable for you, we're going to do 10 rounds of that Kapalbhati breath. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a nice deep, slow inhale. And then when you're ready, start with the exhale, 10 rounds. After 10 rounds, we're just going to come back to a regular breath. And just notice how you feel, how your mind feels, your body. You might feel a little light up in the forehead, hopefully in a good way. That's why it's called shining skull. Let's take another deep inhale. In this next round, we're going to do 15. So as you're ready, if you're ready, we'll go ahead and start. And feel free to just keep doing normal breaths. If this isn't comfortable for you, you don't have to do this exercise. So again, nice deep inhale, forceful exhale. Let's do 15. And then just come back to a regular breath again. Notice how your body feels. Awesome. And then we'll go ahead and get started with some joint and gland warm-ups. So we're going to start in this first pose called Dandasana. It means staff pose. And your feet are straight ahead from your hips. We're going to activate the feet or dorsiflex the feet back towards the face. Make sure your shoulders are back and down, nice straight spine here. And we're just going to bring the hands to the floor next to the hips. So gently bend the elbows. Really lift the chest up towards the ceiling. Take a few breaths here. Every inhale, lengthen the spine. Every exhale, set into the pose. And we're going to start with some ankle movement. So on your inhale, flex the toes back towards the face. On the exhale, you're going to move your feet forward. So you get a little stretch in the front of the foot, in front of the ankle. Inhale back. Exhale forward. Inhale back. And do this at your own pace if you want to go faster or slower than me. We all don't need to be synchronized here, especially since everybody else is in their own home. But just feel your body, look for any tough spots or sticky spots in the ankles. And then let's bring the arms straight ahead from the shoulders. We're going to do the same thing with the wrists. As you inhale, bring the fingers back, flex the fingers towards the face. On the exhale, bring them forward into a fist if you'd like. You can even do a full squeeze. Inhale back, ankles and wrists, exhale forward. Few rounds like this. Keep working with the breath. Abdominal breathing if possible through the nostrils. So if you need to, grab a Kleenex, blow your nose so you can breathe through your nose well. And let's start with some circles next. So clockwise, we're going to be making big circles with the toes. Inhaling forward, exhaling back, and we're matching the wrists. Just getting as much movement as we can here. And then if your spine starts to round out, your shoulder blades come forward, let's just reset that. Pull the shoulders back and down, lift the chest. Nice, straight, good posture here. So the energy can flow through our spine. Now let's reverse those circles. This is my other little assistant, Bailey, here. And let's just keep track. If you did 10 circles on the other side, let's do 10 circles this way, 5 circles this way. Doesn't matter how fast or slow we're going. Just keeping balance in both sides. And feel free to close your eyes. Feel your body. Let's shake out the shoulders, shake out the hands and wrists. Give everything a nice roll. And then we're going to move to the knees. So we're going to bend our right knee, keep that left leg dorsiflex towards the face, pull the knee in towards the chest, and lift the chest up towards the ceiling. Again, keep those shoulders back and down. And on your exhale, bring the foot forward, hovering above the floor just a few inches. Inhale back, squeeze, lift. Exhale forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale forward. Inhale back. And if this isn't enough for you, you want to get a little bit more range, you can also reach for the bottom of the foot and pull the knee behind the elbow or behind the armpit. So just kind of personal preferences. Give me a few options there. And just keep working with the breath. So every movement accompanied with a breath, forward and back at your own pace. Let's switch over to the left side. So inhale, squeeze the knee, lift the chest, drop the shoulders, exhale forward, hover. Inhale back, exhale forward, inhale, squeeze, exhale, release. And if you did the same variation on the other side, feel free to grab the bottom of the foot here. Start working into the hip as well. And play around with both options. A few more rounds, maybe one more. And then let's release the foot down. We're going to shift into a tabletop position from here for some cat and cows. Asana in Sanskrit. So bring the hands underneath the shoulders, open the fingers nice and wide away from each other. Knees underneath the hips. Feel free to place a blanket or a pillow underneath your knees if you've got any pain there. And roll the shoulders back and down, gaze up towards the ceiling. Open the chest, bring the belly button towards the floor. On your exhale, we're going to squeeze the belly button up towards the ceiling. Pull the chest together and open the shoulder blades. Inhale, open, arch. Exhale, round for that cat pose. And if you want to move the shoulders back and forth, I like to kind of get the sides of the body as well here. Just play with any kind of bits of movement you can make. Roll the shoulder blades forward and back. And you can isolate different areas of the spine here as well. So if you want to really squeeze the belly button, you can do this movement just between the shoulder blades to warm up the thorax. Or isolate from the hips. Rotate the hips in and out and keep the shoulders still. So just look for those sticky spots in your spine. Try and bring any movement, any blood flow into those areas. Still working with the breath, that's the most important. Make sure you're really dropping those shoulders as you arch, rolling back and down, opening the chest. So, and then we're going to walk the hands forward from here, as far as you can, and keep your hips above your knees. We're going to pull the chest towards the floor for a puppy pose, just to open up the upper back. And if you've got blocks around, you can use those blocks as well. I'm just going to place these underneath your wrists. And this is the first setting. You can go to any setting. If you want to go higher, feel free to mess with those. Go up to level 2 or 3. You can also come onto your elbows here, kind of bringing the hands to the back of the shoulder blades. Another good way to open up and stretch the triceps. And we're in our homes, so you can use the edge of your couch if you'd like, something like this. Or prop yourself up against the table. Just different variations. Always want to open up the shoulder blades as much as we can, so our spine can stay nice and straight through the practice. And let's just stay in this pose for a moment. Close your eyes. Focus on your breath. And get ready for some moon salutations here in a moment. When you feel pretty warm, let's go ahead and walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. From here, we're going to slide our knees together, and then we're going to move them back about 1 palm length. We're going to tuck our toes under and push back for mountain pose. So this is like downward facing dog, but the feet are together. And you can bend the knees. I definitely encourage bent knees on the first round. We really want to focus on the back. So here I'm going to have you bend your knees and pull your chest down, yeah, like that. Great adjustment. So really focusing between the shoulder blades and the thoracic area. I want to make sure that's nice and open, and then we're going to slowly introduce the hamstrings from there. So you can bend and straighten both legs at the same time. You can pedal the feet back and forth. Maybe sway the hips back and forth. Whatever your body's asking for in this pose. And I like to incorporate wrist stretches as well. So if you have any wrist pain, I want you to drop back down onto your knees. Otherwise, for a more intense stretch, you can come onto the back of the hand here and stretch out those wrists here as well. So again, if you have any wrist problems, I want you to drop onto your knees again. Just bringing some heat into the body. You can also rotate the hands backwards. So your fingers are facing back towards you, bending the elbows back towards your rib cage. With a good stretch for the fingers and palms. And then let's shake out those wrists, whether we're in down dog, that mountain pose, or on the knees. Maybe do some circles with the wrists. And let's inhale the left leg up towards the sky. We're going to start some moon salutations here. Since it's a full moon this week, might as well celebrate it. On your exhale, we're going to step between the palms with the left foot and drop the right knee down to the floor. We'll roll the shoulders back and down. And we're just gonna bring the fingertips to the floor here. If they don't wanna go to the floor, you can be up a little bit as well, or use your blocks. I'm gonna have Corey use the blocks here, just as an example. And kind of frame that front foot. So again, very important that we drop the shoulders back and down. Really good posture here, and bring the weight into your hips towards the floor. One thing to be mindful of, this front knee, we don't want it to be side to side. It's okay if it's forward or back. We do that while we're walking anyways. Just want to be mindful of the knee so we don't damage it. Take a deep inhale, slower exhale. Inhale the arms up overhead. And squeeze the belly here. So we don't dump into our lower back. We want to protect that lower back and open from the upper back, the thorax. Which is why we were doing those puppy poses before. And try and pull the hands back, bringing the chest forward for a slight back bend. And we'll go a little deeper here in a little bit, really just trying to open everything and bring blood flow through the body. On your exhale, let's bring the hands around that front foot. Tuck your back toe and step back with the left foot. Back to that Parvatasana, the mountain pose. Again, feel free to bend the knees. We can bend the knees through the entire practice. Much more important to have bent knees than a bent back. I don't want to see you rounding through the upper back like this. So make that adjustment. Inhale the right leg back towards the ceiling. Let's keep the hips square for now. So avoid opening the hips too much. On your exhale, step between the palms. Bring the left knee down to the floor. Again, roll those shoulders back and down. And this is more like a warm-up round. We're going to add a few more poses as we go. Just bringing some blood flow through the body again. Again, shoulders back and down. Open the heart. Bring the weight into the hips, towards the floor. And if this isn't enough for you, you're really open already, you can bring the hands back by the hips and drop those towards the floor. Take any variation you'd like. Not trying to go super deep yet. And then one more time, let's inhale the arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale around that front foot. Step back to your Parvatasana, mountain pose. Nice work, everybody. Again, feel free to bend the knees. Get that straight line from the wrists all the way through the hips. And let's be conscious of our fingertips. Make sure the fingers are open nice and wide, really pressing through the fingertips. So we're not overloading the wrists. We don't want to get any wrist issues or injuries here. Next, we're going to shift into a salutation pose. Ashtanga Namaskar, which means 8-limb salute. So we're going to bring the knees down to the floor. Keep the hands where they are. Bend your elbows and shift forward. So you're going to bring your hands right around the bottom of your rib cage and use your knees and your toes to grip the floor and pull your hips backward. So you can see with Corey here, she's going to grip with her toes and knees and pull the hips back, at the same time using the hands to open the shoulders and push forward. So you want to lengthen the spine here. Be very good for the spine. Not trying to go for a deep back bend yet, so you don't want to have your hips up in the air a lot. You can bring your hand to right to your stomach here, and I just turn the hand sideways, vertically like this. And that's a good way to kind of tell how much space you should have between your belly and the floor. Every body's different, so feel yourself. If there's any pain in any area, try and open the pose out more. You can slide the knees back. If you want more of a back bend, you can bring the knees forward. But again, we're going for length here, not as much of a back bend. And shoulders back and down. If you want to stretch the neck more, bring your forehead to the floor. Then we're going to straighten the legs, bringing the belly down to the floor. Keep the hands where they are. And if you have a really tight back, I want you to slide your elbows forward, bringing them underneath the shoulders. If you're already open, let's watch Corey here and come up into Cobra pose. So you're going to really pull those elbows back towards the ribs. Again, drop the shoulders, open the chest. You can gaze up towards the ceiling or straight ahead. Just depends. If you have any neck issues, I'd look straight. If you want to open the neck, especially the front, and gaze up towards the ceiling. And focus on the breath. We're going to stay here for a few breaths. Squeeze the belly in. Engage the thighs. You can look over your shoulders if you want to add some rotation. Maybe a nice little pop if you're lucky. Try and keep the big toes straight here so we're not splaying the ankles outward. And if you want to add the push-up here, we're going to tuck the toes under. You can come back down, or you can just push straight back. Again, feet together here if possible. You're also welcome to go hip width apart if that's more comfortable. We'll come back into that mountain pose. Parvatasana. Again, just being mindful of the upper back. Feel free to bend the knees. Might be a little harder to get the heels down to the floor now that the feet are together. And that's totally fine. Again, let's inhale the left leg up towards the sky or the ceiling. Step between the palms. Bring the right knee down to the floor. Inhale the arms up. Or Chandrasana, half moon. Take a few breaths here. Feel free to close your eyes, challenge your balance for a moment. Try and make your breath vocal if you can. If you're in your own home, no reason to be embarrassed of the breath. Make it nice and powerful. One more deep inhale. Longer exhale, release those hips. Try and go a little deeper into the lunge. Bring the hands down. We'll take a few breaths here in Sanchalan Asana, horse riding posture. I've never ridden a horse like this, but who knows? Maybe some people do. Let's bring the hands down to the floor around that front foot, and we're going to step forward for a forward fold. So in this forward fold, you can do a few variations. I like to have hip width apart, but if you like feet together, that's totally fine. All have personal preference. But we're going to keep a nice straight back here if possible. So you can use your blocks or your shins and lean forward into the big toes. And roll those shoulders back and down. Focus on the breath. Every inhale, bring length into the spine. Every exhale, release tension to the hamstrings, the back. And we're going to walk our hands up our thighs, up our shins. Come to the top of the mat. Inhale in, the hands up towards the ceiling. Squeeze the belly. And from here, we're going to bring the chest forward, bringing the hands back as much as possible. But you don't want to dump into your lower back, so don't be pushing the hips crazy forward. Really squeeze this lower part of the abdomen. Pull the belly button in towards the spine. And open from the upper back. Open the chest. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. And for round two, you can bring the hands to the hips or out to the side. Again, personal preference. I like the hands on the hips because it helps roll the shoulders back and down. So really squeeze those elbows together. And we're going to keep this position as we hinge from our hips and come forward. Just so we don't compromise the back. And just listen to your body. Once your back starts to round out like this, that's where we want to stop. So you might only get about halfway down. You can release the hands to the thighs. We don't want to put pressure on the knees. If you need to, add a slight micro bend to those knees. Just be mindful there. Or you can come all the way to the floor. Or use your blocks, your shins. Again, leaning into the big toes. So we're leaning forward. And I call it the tipping. Come back to the breath. And inhaling length. Exhaling tension. And let's step back with the left foot. Come into that low lunge, bringing the knee to the floor. And roll the shoulders back and down for this horse riding posture. Sanchalan Asana. Nice even breaths. We'll take about 3 in each pose for now. One more breath, inhale, open the chest. Exhale, go a little deeper. Inhale the hands up towards the ceiling. Heart here. Pull those hands back. Squeeze the belly so we protect our lower back. And 3 breaths here. You can gaze up towards the ceiling or straight ahead, or close your eyes here if you want to challenge your balance. And feel the sensations in the body. One more breath. Deep inhale. Longer exhale. Bring the hands around that front foot. Step back. Asana. Mountain pose. Again, let's check the hands and let's open the back of the shoulders here. So we're trying to rotate our armpits together. External rotation of the shoulders. So when I say external rotation, I mean rotating the shoulder out, away from your chest. And this creates space in the upper back. So as you do this, you can go a little deeper. And it protects the shoulders as well. So we're not just loading up the shoulder itself. It brings the weight even through the entire shoulder girdle and into the lats as well. Again, feel free to bend those knees. Nothing wrong with bent knees. Come back to the breath. Inhale the right leg up towards the ceiling. On your exhale, step between the palms. Drop that left knee down to the floor. Again, shoulders back and down. Horse riding posture. Breathe into your hips. And we can check our hips here as well. So I like to place my hands on the hips and just see if you'll gaze down and see if your left hand is forward or your right hand is forward. And try and make that adjustment. So you might have to come up a little bit, maybe squeeze the right hip back, and drop into it a little bit more. Again, pulling the belly button in to protect our lower back. And we're going to inhale the hands up towards the ceiling. Coming into that Chandrasana, moon pose. Try and go a little bit deeper this time. So open the chest a little more, maybe gaze up towards the ceiling or even back behind you. Start to come into a slight back bend. But again, opening from the upper back as much as possible. Protect that lumbar. Exhale the hands down. Round the front foot. Tuck the left toes under and step back with the right foot. Parvatasana. Mountain pose. Come back to the breath. And for each point, we have a drishti, or a gaze point, a focal point. So this one, we can be right between the big toes, or you can gaze up towards your navel, your belly button. And this just helps drop the chest a little bit more, gives us a place to focus. Keep our mind one-pointed. We're going to bend the knees, bring the knees down to the mat. Keep the hands where they are. Shift forward onto the chest. So again, thumb should be right around the bottom of the rib cage. Pull the elbows in towards each other. Open the shoulders. Bring the chin forward. Or come onto the forehead. Very nice. You want to try the forehead variation so everybody can see if this block isn't in the way. We're really just trying to get as much length through here as possible. As you can see here, Corey's not really bending a lot. Trying to create space between those vertebrae. Then we'll, on our next inhale, we'll come back into that cobra or sphinx pose if you want to be on the forearms. Whatever variation works for you. And if you like upward facing dog more, feel free to engage the legs, come onto the top of the feet. Push through the palms and lift the chest. So it's just the top of the feet and the palms on the ground. Again, rolling those shoulders back and down in any of these variations. Bring the heart forward. You can gaze up towards the ceiling. Let's tuck those toes. If you want to shift back, just go straight back. If you want to add the push-up, come down halfway. Push back, Parvatasana. Looking great, everybody. As much as I can see, I'm on a phone, so your screens are very little to me. Again, let's focus on that external rotation of the shoulders, out away from the ears. Think about the hands. So look at your fingers, make sure they're all open away from each other, so you evenly distribute that weight. We don't want to be pushing into the wrists too much. Really use your thumbs, your knuckles. One more time, we're going to inhale that left leg up towards the sky. On your exhale, step between the palms. This time we're going to keep the knee up. So you can see I'm just going to lift my heel off the floor, and we're going to inhale the hands up for warrior one. So again, squeeze the belly, nice straight line through the spine. We're not trying to dump into the lower back, not really doing a back bend here. An extension. You can have the hands shoulder width or together. And let's just pay attention to that front knee. Try to avoid side to side motion. So it should be straight, right above your ankle if possible. Really good stretch right here in the front quad. And engage this back knee so we protect the knee. From here, we're going to drop our right heel down to the floor. Open the hands for warrior two. Again, let's roll the shoulders back and down. Squeeze the belly here so there's a nice straight line down towards the floor. I'm going to have you come back just a little bit. Right there. And then you can gaze forward towards this front middle finger. Nice open hands. Keep the hands open and active, and it brings blood flow through the arms. Opens up all these arteries coming out. Focus on the breath. And then let's fall back into a reverse warrior. So you're going to flip the palm up towards the ceiling. Extend backwards. Grab a few breaths here. Nice deep inhale. Slower exhale. Now we're going to straighten the front knee, the left knee. Come into a reverse triangle. So again, elongating the spine, bringing the chest up towards the ceiling. Let's bring the hands out to a T shape. And from here, we're going to tilt the hips. So you're going to pull your left hip into your right, and the hips are open here. So they're parallel with the sides of the mat. Really tilt that right hip up towards the ceiling before we get started. Then we're going to reach forward. I'm reaching here towards the TV, this wine stand. And you can use a block or your shin here. I'm going to go ahead and place a block for Corey. Not that she needs one. And I want you to place your hand there, and then we're going to lean back here. So really pushing the hips forward. So you'll feel that stretch all the way on the right side of the body here. The right hand's going to come up towards the ceiling and really ground through this foot. So a nice strong back knee. Both legs are fully engaged. And I think of it like sliding the kneecap up the leg. That helps protect the knees. Come back to the breath. And then we're going to bring the hands down around that front foot and step forward about 1 foot length. You can place your right hand on the floor, on the shin, or use a block. I definitely recommend to block it first, just so you can feel your balance, give the body a chance to open for a minute. And we're going to inhale the left arm up towards the ceiling for a twisted triangle. Now, if this is causing any pain on your back knee, go ahead and lift this heel up towards the ceiling. Just like that. And you can come back to your original pose if you like that more. Again, lengthen the spine. Roll the shoulders back and down. On your next exhale, let's place the hands back on the floor. Come into a forward fold here over that front leg. Inhale, step forward with the right foot. So again, feet at hip width apart here. And exhale into your forward fold. Hatha Ashtanga Yoga. So we're trying to get the hips right above the ankles here. So I'm going to shift you forward a little bit more. Right there, that tipping point. And use your big toes to push back. So that'll help keep you from actually tipping onto your face. Then we're gonna roll the shoulders back and down. Nice straight spine here. So you can use blocks here as well. Or a wall. Anything that's around your shins. Great thing to use if you don't have any props, or soup cans, water bottles, books, maybe your cat. And then let's inhale the arms up towards the ceiling. So rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Open the heart, open the chest, pull those hands back, squeeze the belly. Start coming into more of a back bend here. One more round, we're gonna exhale forward. Get the other side of the body. Maybe round out the back this time, go a little deeper. Bring the forehead towards the shins. Inhale, lengthen the spine. We're going to step back with that left foot again. This time coming back to the lunge, so we're going to keep the knee above the floor. Nice strong legs here. Inhale the hands up for warrior one. Again, shoulder width or hands together. Personal preference. We don't really want to squeeze the shoulders towards the ears here, so keep those shoulders dropped. Great adjustment for you. And if you are having the hands together, you can see here when I squeeze this, her shoulders come up towards her ears. So what I'm going to have her do is bring the hands down here so she can still drop the shoulders. If you want to have the hands together. So those are different variations. If you want to have hands shoulder width apart, just feel your body, but really think extension through the spine as we do this. Then we're going to shift that left heel back down to the floor and come into our warrior two on the other side. So I'll shift to this side of the mat. Again, look for that straight line. You can look down your chest, start pushing the chest forward, squeeze everything together, and then gaze towards that right middle finger. We're going to engage the abductors, the outsides of the glutes and legs. Act like there's a wall right behind you. And you can use a wall if you've got space at your own home. And try and bring all parts of the body. You're going to squeeze your knees, the back of your legs, and try and create that space, a flat space behind your back. So we want to avoid any rounding here. Nice straight line there, if possible. And let's flip that right palm towards the ceiling. Inhale back for reverse warrior. Virabhadrasana. Come back to the breath, gazing up towards your top hand, the right hand. Now we're going to straighten the right leg. Come into a reverse triangle. Come back to the breath. Long, deep inhales. Slower exhales. Inhale the hands up for that T shape. A straight-legged warrior two. We're going to tilt the hips, this time bringing the left hip up towards the ceiling, pulling the right hip in, and reach forward here. So we're not going to collapse, we're not bending the bottom side of the body, we want to extend that right side of the body outward, like someone's grabbing your hands. In Corey's case, I can actually grab her hands. So keep leaning forward, come towards me. And now you can see she's starting to come into a forward fold, so I'm going to have her stop right there. We'll bring the block in. Can you reach that block there? So just use your fingertips for now on the block. There you go. And lean back. Open the chest. So feeling that stretch on the side of the body here, trying to open the obliques, the hip flexors, and come back to the breath. So not about as far down as we can go, really about that extension of the spine, so we can get a nice full stretch. Again, be mindful of the knees. Make sure we're engaging those knees, pulling them up towards the thighs. Come into the breath. Let's bring the hands down around that front foot. Step forward with the left foot about 1 foot. And we're going to rotate the toes forward, about a 45-degree angle. If that's too much, you can come all the way forward. And just be mindful of your knees if you have any injuries there. And then if you use the block on the other side or your shin, let's try and mirror ourselves. You're going to bring the left hand down to the floor of the block, the shin, inhale the right arm up towards the ceiling for this twisted triangle. Tiryaka, Trikonasana. You had it right. Left hand, and twist it. And again, lengthen the spine here. Not trying to bend towards the floor, really trying to pull everything apart. Great, looks awesome. Nice work, everybody. And this is a little sample of the standing series, the Ashtanga primary series. Another thing to keep an eye on is your hips here. As you rotate, you don't want to be rotating the hips open either. Try and keep those hips square, both in the same position, equal and balanced. Exhale that right hand down. Let's come into that forward fold over the right leg again. Bring the forehead towards the knee, towards the shin. Or if you're really flexible, towards the big toe. We're going to step forward with the left foot. Again, feet at hip width apart here. If you prefer it, you can have your feet together. I'm not there with you, so I can't actually adjust any one of you. So it's all personal preference here. You lean forward into those big toes. And if you want to go a little deeper into this forward fold, let's take a bind with the middle and index finger around the big toe. We're going to grip that with the thumb. Bend the elbows back towards your knees. Roll the shoulders back and down and lean forward so you're pushing your fingers into the floor. And then using this grip to pull your chest towards the floor as well. Again, we're thinking length here. So really focus on lengthening the spine as much as possible. Get a deeper stretch into the hamstring. Doesn't matter how far down we go. Let's release that grip. We're going to roll all the way up, one vertebrae at a time. One more big, deep inhale, neutralizing the spine. So open the chest, squeeze in the belly, pull that belly in towards the spine. Bring the hands back. Now we're going to step a little bit wider. So I'm bringing the edges of my feet right to the edge of the mat. And I'm pretty tall, so if you're a little shorter, you're not going to be all the way to the edges. But if you want to go deeper and get the more medial side of the legs, the inside of the legs here, go wider. The wider you go, the more you'll get the inside of the legs. Again, we're going to bring the hands back to the hips, shoulders back and down, bring the chest forward, and hinge from the hips. Just lengthen the spine all the way down. And let's just come to that spot where the spine wants to round. You can see my spine rounding here. I'm going to readjust. Pull the elbows in towards each other. And you see as I pull those in, it opens up her chest. Bring those shoulders back and down. And really lean forward into the big toes. Try and stack the hips above the ankles as much as possible. Breathe into this posture. We're going to release the hands from the hips. This time we're going to bring the hands underneath the feet. So you're going to bring your big toes all the way up into your wrists. Just a little bit more, all the way right there. Awesome. And then again, leaning forward. So bringing that weight into the wrists, into the big toes. And then we're going to roll the shoulders back and down and bend the elbows again. Going a little bit deeper here. And you can use any of those other variations. You don't have to go to this full depth here. This is just if you want to keep going and progressing a little further. But if you're having trouble in any of the previous poses, I want you to stay in them. And just keep working on it. Let your breath help your body adapt to the pose. Now let's bend the knees and release the hands from the feet. We're going to walk back to plank. Bring a little warmth to the core through the body. So the hands should be right underneath the shoulders. Tuck those heels back. So you're really pushing those bones underneath your big toes into the floor. And squeeze the belly button into the spine. So we're slightly rounding the spine here. mostly into the thorax. You don't want to be like shooting up towards the ceiling, but you don't want to be dumping towards the floors either. Really squeeze the chest together, open the shoulder blades, come back to the breath. Breathing's very important in this pose. And if this is hurting your wrists, let's be mindful again. Make sure the hand is nice and open, pushing through the fingertips. And if that's still too much, feel free to come onto your forearms. Either variation is fine. You're going to feel this one a lot more on your shoulders. And let's inhale the left leg up towards the sky. So squeeze the glutes. Again, pull that right heel back. Come back to the breath. If you want more of a challenge, release the right hand off, reach forward. Nice straight line through the spine. If that's too much, just focus on the legs for now. And feel free to shut down the forearms as well. So lifting the leg, reaching forward. Try and keep the hips level, equal. There we go. Looking good, everybody. Make sure we're still focusing on our breath. Feel free to close the eyes. We're going to be here for a moment. Let it bring some heat into the body before we go into some deeper poses. We're going to exhale that left leg down to the floor. Inhale the right up. Again, squeeze the glute, pull on the belly button. If you tried the lifted arm version on the other side, let's do that on this one. You come into it nice and slow. If you fall out of it, just come right back up. Feel free to keep playing with it. A few more breaths here. And if this ever becomes too much for you, just come down to your knees in child's pose. You can do this anytime throughout the practice, get a little break. Let's try and stay in the plank all the way through if we can. Then we're going to release the right foot down. Shift back into that Parvatasana, mountain pose, or downward dog with the feet together. An external rotation of the shoulders. Back to the breath. If you need a break, go ahead and take a child's pose instead. Nothing wrong with child's pose. It's always one of my favorites. Now we're going to bend and bring the right knee into the chest, shifting forward into that plank. And I'll hold here for 3 breaths. 1, 2, and 3. Step back to your plank or your down dog. If you want a little easier version, we're going to bend the right knee. Inhale it into the chest, towards your chin. Squeeze. 3, 2, 1. Release it back. We'll shift back to that mountain pose. Parvatasana. Now we're going to bend the left knee. And we're going to bring that knee between the hands. Next, we're going to slide the right knee up behind the left knee. So they'll be kind of staggered here. Turn sideways so you can see. And when you first start out in this pose, it's going to be pretty open looking like this. We're going to slide our top heel, our left heel, towards the right hip. And ideally, we want to have both heels next to the hips. Roll the shoulders back and down and stack the knees above each other. But don't force your body to go anywhere it's not ready. We're going to start up here and just slowly move through it. Let's try and activate the feet. So you dorsiflex, and that keeps the knees protected. We're going to do some twists here. So on your inhale, open the chest, open the spine. We're going to place the left hand behind the lower back and bring the right hand around that left knee. So gazing back over your left shoulder. And keep lifting the chest up towards the ceiling, finding length in the spine. Use your breath to help you twist. Every inhale, lengthen, open. And every exhale, squeeze your spine like you're wringing out a rag. A little bit deeper each round. Slowly return back to center. Let's inhale the hands up overhead. We'll clasp the hands, flip the palms up towards the ceiling, and push through the wrists. Again, dropping the shoulders, so we're lengthening the spine here. Release the hands down, right hand behind your lower back, left hand on the outside of the right knee. And gaze over your right shoulder. And keep working with the breath. Long, deep inhales. Slower, full exhales. Again, we'll return back to center nice and slow so we don't shock the spine. Inhale the hands up. Clasp the fingers, push through the palms. And release the hands. For a fun transition here, you can just switch the feet around any way you want to. I like to kind of shift the hips up. We're going to unwind and then roll back the other direction. Bringing the right knee on top. Doesn't matter how we get into the pose. It's kind of a fun, funky way of doing it. As long as your right knee is on top. Again, flex the feet, protect those knees. And you should feel a good stretch in the hip flexors, the abductors here, bottom of the glutes. Come back to the breath. I really like to close my eyes in this pose. And just feel for those tight spots in the body. Give yourself a moment to adapt. You can also place the hands on the feet, rolling those shoulders back and down. We're going to place the right hand behind the lower back, left hand or left elbow on the outside of the right knee. Gazing back over that right shoulder. Again, shoulders back and down, lift the heart. So have a nice straight spine here. You want to kink it, causing pressure on any one vertebrae. We want to use the spine as a whole here. Inhale the hands up, back to center. Again, clasping, pushing through the palms, spinal neutralization. And exhale, rotate to that left side. So left hand behind the lower back, right arm outside of the right knee. Working with your breath. Starting to slow down the heart rate. Let's inhale the hands up. One more time, clasping the fingers, pushing through the wrists. Exhale, release the hands. Then we'll slowly open up the knees. We're going to come into a butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana, bound angle. So clasping the hands underneath the feet, and we're going to open the feet like we're opening up a book. Trying to pull the knees towards the floor. Again, roll those shoulders back and down, nice straight spine here. And if your knees aren't going to the floor, like mine aren't, you can see Corey here is all the way to the ground, so she doesn't need blocks. But I'm going to use a couple to squeeze just to help train those abductors, the outer muscles of the hips. So we're not just expecting the hips to fall open, really using the muscles to pull everything open. And you can use balls. If you have a little dog, maybe they'll want to rest underneath your knees. And just come into the breath for a few moments here. Getting ready to close out the session in a few moments. And we can play around with a few different variations of this as well. So let's slide the feet forward about 1 foot length. And you'll notice I can go a little bit more open here. Again, nice straight spine, shoulders back and down. And we're going to shift forward. Try and bring your forehead towards your big toes. You can use your elbows to push into your legs. Push those knees towards the floor. Another variation I like to do with this is incorporating the block. So you can put a block right in front of your big toes. And if you can reach that block, bring your forehead to the block. So that's pretty easy for you. So I'm going to have you go ahead and just rest your forehead on the block. You see how she has a nice straight neck here? You don't want to be kinking the head back or forward in any weird way. Just resting the head. And this brings blood flow back to the brain. So let's go ahead and close the eyes here. And just feel this pose for a moment. It can be very meditative. Great for getting ready for meditation if you would like to do that after your practice, which I highly recommend. And just come into the breath. Feel that cooling sensation in your mind and your forehead. We'll take about 3 or 4 more breaths here. Long, deep inhales. Even slower, fuller exhales. And when you're ready, and feel free to keep your eyes closed as you work through this next transition. We're going to make our way onto our back. We'll keep the knees bent for a moment. Bring your right ankle right above your left knee. And from here, we're going to reach through that gap in the right leg. You need to clasp the hands behind the left knee, around the hamstring. If you want to go deeper, we're going to clasp around the left shin in the front. And then just lie back, let your shoulders come to the floor. Nice straight spine here. Just let your breath and gravity do its work for a while. Keep pulling that knee in towards the chest. Ideally, we'd like to go all the way in, but that doesn't really matter. We just want to get a good stretch on the outside of the hip flexors, the glutes on that right side. Make sure we're dorsiflexing both feet here, protecting the knees. It's a good habit to be in. Start to slow the breath. If we're not already in an abdominal breath, come back to that belly breathing we started with. 3, 2, and 1. Let's release the grip on that leg. Switch the feet around. So left ankle above the right knee. And mirror yourself. If you grabbed behind the knee before, I want you to grab in the same spot in front of the shin. And dorsiflexing the feet back towards the knees. Dropping the shoulders into the floor. And then use your breath to release that tension throughout the hip. Let's close the eyes if they're not already there. Three, 2, and 1. And release the grip. We're going to bring the feet down to the floor with bent knees. And let's push through the heels. So you're going to pick your hips up slightly. We're going to tilt the hips so we can round out the back. Bring all parts of the spine down to the floor. If this is uncomfortable for you, feel free to grab a blanket, a pillow, anything like that, and you can place it underneath your lower back. I'm just going to place it just to show. Something like that. You can also place blocks or a bolster, a pillow underneath your knees, anything to kind of help round that out so we avoid that space of the lower back. Then one at a time, we're going to slide the heels forward. And give space here so the legs can breathe. Allow the feet to lay away from each other. We're going to tuck in the shoulder blades towards each other. Rotate the palms up towards the ceiling. And giving space so the armpits can breathe, the arms have room. Then the head away from the shoulders. Come back to your breath for a moment. We're just going to look for any tension throughout the body. Releasing tension throughout the entire body. And extending a little bit of gratitude for those who passed down the practice to us. The fact that we can do this in our homes nice and safely. Although everybody's kind of locked away, quarantined from each other, we can still be together. It's pretty awesome. Just wanted to thank all of you for coming today, showing up for yourself and the world. Nice full moon this week. I think it was at fullest last night, so if you have a chance, go ahead and check it out tonight. It's pretty beautiful. Feel free to stay in this as long as you'd like. Move it into a meditation, or do some more of that pranayama that we started with, the breath work. Otherwise, go ahead and go on with your day. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to go ahead and close out.